Oh, Q&A, the first one of the convention. I want to thank everyone for showing up here today. Hoodie is working on the announcement for all of this Q&A session, but we are delighted today to have a human on Earth join us today, uh, as someone who played a cat in one Persona game. The voice of Morgana, Cassandra Lee Morris. Welcome to Personacon.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Welcome so much. Do you have anything that you want to promote or share with the audience here today?
Yes, to make this as much like an in-person con as possible, I opened up my print shop for you guys. It's just for this weekend, and I have some Morgana print. I have two Morgana prints available if y'all want to check it out, and I also have some other prints from my other characters. And if you order one, they will come signed and personalized. And yeah, whatever you want me to write on it, I write on it, and then I mail it out to you guys. So yeah, if you want to check it out, it's CassandraLeeMorris.storeenvy.com.
Awesome. And we have that pinned in the chat too, so if you want to check that out later afterwards as well, it will be pinned for all you listeners at home. So, um, thanks again. I'm really excited to have you. We're all really excited to have you, and I think we'll start things off with some Q&A. The Q&A comes from questions that were submitted in the channel, so Hoodie, are we still accepting questions at this time?
Question should be closed at this point in time. If you got, I gave you the last announcement a little while ago, but we got most of all questions submitted and ready to ask the lovely Cassandra Lee Morris.
Awesome.
Sweet.
All right. Well, then let's kick this off with one that a lot of people wanted to know this question right when we started. We saw this question a lot. How did you get your start in voice acting?
Okay, I know this is like everybody always wonders, and it's funny because everybody's path to becoming a voice actor is totally different. So I started out acting as a kid doing local theater in Connecticut, and then I wanted to like be on TV. That was like my dream was to be like a TV actor, and I really wanted to do commercials. So I started taking acting lessons in New York City when I was 12 and 13. That led to me getting an agency, and I did a lot of like on camera work. That agency also had a big voiceover division, and I always sounded a lot younger than I actually was. So they were able to send me out on like a lot of auditions for that, and it just kind of went from there. Like I started off just, having a passion for acting and loving acting, and as I got older, went to college, graduated. I drifted towards voiceover because that was the medium that I was like having the most success in. And it was, really rewarding for me. And I was like getting to play all these cool characters. And, it was also my dream to like be on a Saturday morning cartoon because I grew up watching those. So, that's how I got on Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, that's not how I got on Yu-Gi-Oh! But that's why I was excited to be on Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it aired on
So
Saturday
cool.
mornings, and I was like, oh my gosh, I did it! So yeah, and then it just kind of like snowballed from there. Um, yeah, it's kind of like a long-winded answer, but
Well, it's very insightful all the same. Very cool to like know that you're sort of accomplishing your dreams of doing the Saturday morning cartoons, as it were.
yeah, yeah, those were like really special. Like me and my brother, like we would bond over those. So
It's awesome. And
yeah.
another question that sort of again related to voice acting before we go too far down the persona hole.
Mhm.
Do you have any advice for any aspiring voice actors sort of at the start of their voice acting careers, whether that be, even just doing the small online fan work to slowly amounting to more semi-pro work?
Yeah, I would say the most important thing is you want to have a really strong acting foundation. So just take class, take class, take class, study, study, study. Um, a lot of voice actors start off in theater, and if that's what's available to you, just do it, because everything that you learn in theater is going to help you immensely in voice acting. Um, a lot of people a lot of people assume that voice acting is only about putting on voices, and they think that it's more about imitation, but it's actually about creating a character, and the voice kind of comes secondary. So, yes, study your craft, become a master at your craft, and just be prepared for a lot of auditions. And it can take a long time to even get your first job. And then after that, it can take a long time to get your second job. Um, yeah, you have to really love the process of learning, auditioning, doing, low paid work. Um, you just have to love it. And yeah, I mean, that's it. I still spend so much time auditioning, and I enjoy it. And, if I didn't enjoy it, then that would come through in my reads. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, so yeah, just
No, the
study, study, study. There's also a
no,
lot of
the
on.
sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No,
Sorry.
I was just gonna comment. I know that fun process like auditioning is the getting to be that character, if only for a little bit. But you were gonna say something.
Yeah, yeah. No, you hit the nail on the head with that for sure. You have to treat it like it's your job, like, but your job is going on auditions, and you don't get paid for that, but you still gotta love it. There are also, since the pandemic, there are so many online voice acting classes now. Um,
Or
yeah, so many. I mean, I've started teaching them too, and I taught like 2 or 3 last year. I'm gonna be teaching another one next month. So there are now like a lot more resources available to people who might not be in New York or LA to learn. But yeah, just really just acting is the core, you know. You gotta walk
Mm.
before you can run, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And one
Yeah.
more big general wrap up. How is voice acting now that you are a big time voice actor nowadays? How has that changed your life now? Anything
Oh
cool
my
happen?
gosh. It's so funny because you say like big time voice actor. It's like I still feel like the same person who was like in New York City 15 years ago, like running from audition to audition to audition, like while working a full-time job. So I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'll always have that within me because that was a part of my life for so long, like the hustle. And I still do hustle, but it's just, in a different way. And I'm so lucky and grateful that I've had like so many great opportunities. And I've been able to bring so many cool characters to life. I mean, that's like a dream come true. And it's it's totally flattering that like people even want to know about me, and that you guys want to talk to me, because when I started in this industry, when I was like 12, voiceover was not something people did to become a personality or a notable person. It was something that you did because you kind of liked being anonymous. So like the rise of like the celebrity voice actor has only been in the last maybe 10 years. So this was all like a complete surprise to me, and it's just like a happy bonus to my career. And I love like having all of you guys in my life, and anybody who's ever come up to me at a con. It still feels really surreal because I never expected any of it. Um, so yeah, I guess I'm grateful. It feels surreal. And it's just, I don't know, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
seems really cool.
It
So
does.
as much as
Uh-huh.
I'd love to keep asking you about voice acting questions, just in general, we're going to move on to maybe some more persona specific questions now. Our
Okay.
first question from Lucari, they ask, specifically for Morgana, do you find it interesting to play non-human characters and playing along with the characteristics as they come with? So, for example, like doing meows and hisses that he does in the game?
um, it's just fun. I mean, it's really, at first it was challenging for me when I okay, I mean, I started off voicing like humans with like special powers. So then when I started voicing like creatures and people like Morgana or cats, not a cat, like Morgana, um, it was kind of like a fun puzzle to figure out like where do you put the meow, where do you put the hiss, what does that sound like as Morgana, like, so it it's like a fun challenge to figure out. And the great thing about voiceover, unlike theater, is that voiceover you can get like a do-over, or you like an immediate do-over, or you can try like a bunch of different things in a row and just like see what works. Whereas something like
Absolutely.
theater, like whatever comes out of your mouth in that moment, you have to commit to because it's live in front of an audience. So, yeah, voiceover really gives you a chance to like experiment in the session with like a lot of different takes, which is a lot of fun. So,
It seems so much fun too, and it sounds like you have a lot of fun with it.
yeah, I mean, and I hope that comes through like in my Morgana reads because he's such a fun character to do, especially in Strikers. Like, it's so much fun with all of his call outs. There were like so many of them. Uh, yeah.
Speaking of your Morgana voice, how's your Morgana voice changed since you first started doing the Morgana voice? Is there a certain thing you try to do more often?
This was asked by Keiki Levins.
Okay. Keiki Levin. So when I started out, I feel like they wanted to give Morgana more of like us, and when I say they, I mean the producers at Atlas. They wanted more of like kind of a refined like snottiness almost. And I think that comes through more in the earlier games as compared to like Strikers. Like he there's not so much room for him to be like super snotty because he's like guiding you through the game and cheering you on at the same time. So yeah, there's less of that like snotty refinement and more of the mascot in the later games.
Sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is a definite change too, just overall. More appealing, I suppose.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want your mascot to be like a jerk, like leading you around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it kind of made sense at first that he had kind of like a chip on his shoulder.
Mm. Now, with respect to some of those lines that the producers might give, Neela asks, how much context do you get before performing those lines?
Oh my gosh. So, oh my God, my real life cat just like bashed his head into my AirPods. So if you
Oh
like heard a
no.
weird sound, that was him. No, it was a gentle bashing. It was like a loving bash.
Like a loving headbutt?
Well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
why I
cute.
love cats. Yeah.
So great.
Um, sorry. At home conventions, the things that happen. Um, oh crap, I forgot the question.
the
The
question
question
was,
was more or less, how much context do you get before
Oh,
performing
yes.
lines?
Yes, the context. Okay. Um, not as much as you would think, I would say. Especially like the director at PCB, Val. I mean, I've worked with her extensively now over the past like 4 or 5 years. So she knows that she only has to give me like maybe 1 to 3 sentences of like what's going on in the scene, and then I just get it because like we've worked together so much. Um, yeah, and also like video game sessions, or especially the Persona sessions in particular, they move very quickly because there's so many lines that we have to get done in a short period of time. So, maybe like the first session that we go into, we might spend maybe like 10, 10, 15 minutes talking about the game, and then it's just like in the booth and go. Like you have to record 200 lines in like 2 hours.
oh
Really
boy.
So,
put you to work.
yeah. Um, so yeah, but I mean, if along the way, if something doesn't make sense, I can always be like, wait, so what's going on here? Like if I feel like I'm getting lost in the action or like what's going on, I can always stop and ask them. And also when I'm recording, I get to see the entire script, so I have a reference of like what the other characters are saying. So I can like very quickly like put together exactly what's happening in the scene just by like speed reading, which you'll get very good at if you do a lot of these sessions.
Sure.
So yeah.
Ambeline asks, which do you like the most of all the Morgana forms? Do you like Cat Morgana, Metaverse Morgana, Car Morgana, or Helicopter Morgana?
Car Morgana, because that is badass.
It
Oh
asks
my
the
god.
true question in life: if you could turn into a car, would you?
Ooh, no, no, I would not. But it's fun to do it in a video game.
Sure is.
Yeah.
And speaking of things fun to do in video games, do you host 2018? It's stylized with an exclamation point. Asks if you have a favorite line to say or quote as Morgana.
Oh, yeah. It's always like, looking cool, Joker.
She said it, everyone.
She said it,
Yeah,
y'all.
I said it. It's so fun to say those because I like to give him like a little flavor. I can't explain it, but I don't know. That little like
It
extra flavor that I give him, I get to do it on those lines. So,
almost like a taunt sometimes, you know? Feels
uh-huh.
like it's fun. I like it. I can't
Yeah,
resist it.
it's cute. I know so many people love when Morgana is like, go to sleep, but sleeping is not as exciting as like looking cool, so that's why I like that line better.
There's a lot of people who have asked about Morgana and asking if you would listen to Morgana tell you to go to sleep yourself. Ryokan asked it in particular.
Oh, like if I would heed his advice?
Yeah, would you do it?
Oh my God. Ah, probably, yeah. I mean, he seems to know a lot about sleeping, so I would trust his judgment.
Respect that.
Speaking of
Yeah.
judgment, of the Phantom Thieves, who do you think is the best navigator of the team? Morgana, Sophia, or Futaba?
Ooh. Ooh. Uh, I
And this is
mean,
asked by Dragon Queen 89.
all right, Dragon Queen 89. I mean, obviously I would pick myself. But I do have a special place for Futaba. I think I love her character. I think she's so cool. I mean, Sophia's great too, but I guess that's how I would rank them. 1 Morgana, 2 Futaba, 3 Sophia.
We got the
Yeah,
list, y'all.
there
Yeah.
it is. There it is. Oh my goodness. So another,
Yes.
since you're playing a cat,
Yes.
and you Blanken Out wants to know, do you have any rituals to prepare for recording for Morgana, or more in general for any of your characters?
Ooh. Well, it's just generally this is hilarious. Obviously, you need to get enough sleep. Make you need to make sure you're like well rested so you're on your A game. Hydration is so important because if you sound dry, ugh, like that will come through on the mic and you'll sound like really clicky and it just doesn't sound good. So, I want to make sure that my instrument, my throat is, in tip-top shape. So, hydration is important. I'm really into herbal tea, so like I'll bring like my own
Yeah.
tea to sessions just because, if they don't have this is like so nerdy and specific, but like if they don't have the tea that I like, I feel like I'm not gonna sound good like in the session.
There's the one
So,
tea that has that name that I can't ever remember, but I know most voice actors swear by, that I
oh,
also
throat
really like
coat.
too.
Throat
Yeah,
coat?
there's one other besides that that has a bit more complicated name that I can't remember off the top of my head,
Oh,
but
it's the Chinese
yeah, that's the one.
syrup. Yeah, Ninjum Kwa. I mean, I
That's
probably
the one.
butchered that. If anybody speaks Chinese, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to say it. We all call it Ninjum for short. But yeah, so some people will like it's honey and loquat syrup and it's really thick. And some people just down like a tablespoon of it straight. But I discovered that if you dissolve it in hot water, it tastes a lot better, and I think it has better effect.
Notes, y'all.
Duly noted.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this is your reminder, chat, and everyone listening: drink water, hydration check.
yes. I'm gonna drink some water right now. I'm with you guys. Cheers.
I'll drink too.
Mm-hmm. My God, my cat is like bashing my head again. Really hilarious. I wish this was on video so you could see. It's like really funny. Okay, moving on.
Speaking of
Sure
cats,
thing.
actually, this is from Taryn. What experience did you draw from to make all of Morgana's cat noises and cat-like qualities?
Oh my gosh, my own cats for sure. I've had three. No, I've had four in my whole life. But I currently have two right now. But I would say my second cat that I had, Cosmo, he was an orange Persian. He would make the best sounds. I mean, rest in peace, Cosmo. He was like 17 or 18 when he passed. He was like my child, but I feel like I put him into like so much of Morgana. He would make the best sounds. Persian cats are so fun.
Really are.
Yeah.
They're so cute. Love some
Yeah.
cats.
Yeah.
So sort of maybe going even more general. I know that you've talked about having fun with voicing Morgana, but Panda Nova HD wants to know what was the best part about voicing Morgana in any of the
Oh,
games?
it's honestly, it's getting to do stuff like this for sure. Like just the fan response and getting to, be interviewed about it and going to conventions and doing like huge panels at Anime Expo. Like that's the payoff. And it's been incredible because like when I record, I have an audience of maybe four people, and it's like the engineer, the director, the producer, and maybe like the writer. And I'm still performing, but I don't have like a live audience. But as an actor, like it's really fun to have a live audience. But when I go to a con and I get to see like the reaction and people like give me feedback on what they liked about it and what their favorite parts were, like that, it has been so rewarding. And just like knowing that so many people have like benefited from the game or have been entertained by it or have like bonded with people over it, like that's honestly that's the best part for sure.
Well, we're happy to have you
That's
with
so
us
cool to hear.
also, Cassandra.
Oh,
Uh,
So cool.
it really is. This
yeah.
question is from Zell. We know you also voice Morgana, but you also voice another small little fun character. How do you think the character Sothis from Fire Emblem and Morgana would interact? Do you think they'd be friends?
I think, oh man, it could either be like a real recognizes real type situation, or or they could like butt heads. It would, because like sometimes if people are too similar, they don't like each other because they are
Hmm.
similar in a lot of like funny ways. Like early Morgana with his like snootiness, I feel like there's a lot, or like his sassiness. Like Sothis is also very sassy. So either they would like be sassy to each other and try to like out sass each other, or maybe they would just be like, "Yes, we both love sleeping." I
You
don't know,
woke me up? Come on.
right?
Yeah.
Nap buddies.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
like being woken up from naps.
Ugh, who does?
Another question that we have, sort of related, I suppose you can sort of apply this to any of the roles you've had, but also Morgana quotes. Uh, they have a name that it looks like a Kirby emote. I don't know how to read it.
Okay.
It's like parentheses 00, and it looks like they're sweating. Asks, do you remember any Morgana quotes or other lines that stood out to you or made a personal impact while you were reading them?
Ooh. Um, well, okay, not I can't think of the specific line off the top of my head right now. But, at the end of the first game where like he's so positive he's a human and then it just kind of like, maybe he's like really not. It was just like really sad. And
Is
I
he the
felt
real
bad
boy?
for him?
Let's give
Yeah.
Morgana a hug, y'all.
Yeah. It's
Were
like,
there any
no.
um, other than Persona as well? I know you have a wide variety of roles.
Oh, any other lines that stuck
Yeah.
out?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, I mean, when Sothis was like, too many swordsmen are there? Like, that was like really fun to say because
Mm.
you just knew she was like trolling people with that.
Yeah. I remember seeing that
That
the
was
first
really
time and
fun.
just going, "Oh, come on now."
Yeah. So like just recording that and knowing like knowing what was coming for like the Fire Emblem fandom, that was like really fun.
Absolutely.
Sigma wants to ask right here, let me find this question. Were there any positives you found from changes of working during the pandemic?
Oh, positives. Well, let's see. I mean, from a practical standpoint, I could sleep in later because I didn't have to like get up, get dressed, drive to a studio. So yeah, I got to sleep in a little bit, which was nice. I could fit more jobs into one day because I didn't have, the driving in between jobs. So like, in a way that's positive as well.
Save the earth.
Um, what?
Save the earth.
Yeah, save the earth. I don't know if anybody's in LA, but the air was so clean during the pandemic. It was insane. There were seagulls in the valley. I was like, wow.
That that is not something you see often.
Nope. And I haven't seen it since the world opened back up. But that wasn't when I saw that, I was like, oh my God. Like this is nature telling us something.
Nature was healing.
Yeah. Other positives. I learned how to use my equipment more instead of just like press record, hit stop, save. Like I learned more about engineering begrudgingly. I don't really like doing that part of the job, but it's just good to have like a better idea of like what everybody's doing in the session. So I guess that was good too.
Oh, I think it's important to reflect on finding positives in such a difficult time. So I
Totally.
really value that answer.
Yeah.
Um, Speaking of finding positivity in mistakes sometimes, Voxridian asks, are there any funny moments during recording that you might be able to tell us about? Any bloopers or off-the-cuff dialogue that you or another VA may have made, maybe even outside the booth? And again, this doesn't have to be limited to Persona at this point.
I mean, geez, I feel like I take my job so seriously that I try not to like goof up too often. I mean, there are definitely funny moments like when you say the line wrong, but I like try not to do that. I don't know. I would say, I mean, sometimes like you just can't get the line out. And then I feel like the way that I goof up lines kind of makes people laugh. Like I'll just start like yelling. But it's kind of embarrassing. For video games, I mean I do a lot of video games, and for anime, we record separately. Like we don't record with the full cast. So
Right.
yeah, we don't have all the people to like work off of. So
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. That wasn't a very like funny answer.
It's okay. No ADR flubs or anything like that?
I mean, I'm sure there have been, but I used to show actually like I have like blooper reels from Sword Art Online, from Blue Exorcist, from Toradora. I used to show those at conventions, and those were pretty funny. But those were all like pre-written lines that the
Hmm.
director like would write for us because he has like this really like kind of perverse sense of humor. And I also think like he doesn't get enough sunlight. Like he spends way too much time like in a dark studio. So he would like write these like really inappropriate bloopers for us to say, and they're funny, but sometimes I'm like, dude, you need to like go, you need to get out of the studio. Like you
You
need
don't
to
need
like
vitamin D today?
yeah, exactly. I'm like, what is going through your head? Like I think you need like some social interaction 'cause this is like really dark. Yeah.
Lauren wants to ask, was there a line in particular that was super tricky for you to do as Morgana?
Um, so in Strikers, there was a lot of like expository things. There was a lot of like getting a lot of information out in a short period of time. So, like speaking very quickly as Morgana and projected because it was a lot of battle, that was challenging because when we started Morgana, he wasn't that hyped for that long in the game, or like he just didn't have as many hype lines. So yeah, technically that was challenging, and that was like really vocally stressful. So yeah,
Sounds
that was
like
You're
it.
rough.
shouting a lot.
Yeah, that was rough. This is a rough time for some of those sessions.
I imagine it must be pretty difficult sometimes.
Yeah, that's where the Chinese syrup comes in handy. The ninja.
Yeah, for real. For real.
For real? Yeah. Max is so
So
good at that.
it's really fun. So I'm gonna take it back. You mentioned early on that you were really excited to be a part of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I wanted to know,
Mm.
as well as Anime Game Lover 63 wanted to know, what was it being a part of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series? They also want you to know that you were amazing in GX as Alice and Yubel in 5Ds as Leo and Luna.
Oh my gosh, thank you. That wow. So for those shows were my first anime roles ever. I
Oh,
didn't
wow.
even I didn't even know how big anime was as like a subculture because I mean I knew Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z, like and Pokemon, and like that was it. Like I didn't know that there was like a whole genre, and like there was other anime that you could get, but you kind of had to like seek it out at like the cool, Blockbuster or like the independent like video store.
Right.
Yeah, I'm really like dating myself here, but that's what this has been my experience. I didn't, know much about anime. So, Yu-Gi-Oh was kind of like my gateway into that. So that was cool from like, just an anime lover's perspective. Um, and then technically I learned how to dub on those shows. Like
Wow.
those people took a chance on me. And I just learned how to do it in the session. Like now you can take classes to learn how to do it because anime and foreign dubbing has grown so much, but back in the day there was not a lot of that work there, so like you weren't really expected to know how to dub like as soon as you walked in the door. Now you are. But that's like the time I started. So I learned a lot. Um and also it was just cool to like watch it. And it was cool to like there were cards and I was like, "Oh my gosh, like my character has a card. Like that is so cool. I want them all." Um yeah, it was just a really incredible thing to be part of. Oh, and I want to tell like a little story too.
For it.
So, this is like this is when I knew that anime and voiceover was like bigger than just like me going into a studio for an hour and then leaving and going back to like my day job. I was I had I was spending a lot of time in New Jersey. I had a boyfriend there, and we would go to Wawa. So shout out to Wawa, like love Wawa. Anybody
That's
and
the Wawa.
any East Coast person will know like what I'm talking about.
Good
So
subs.
we would go to Wawa like every Saturday morning. And the girl, oh yes, the chat's going crazy. Okay, cool. Somebody's from South Jersey. I just remembered to look at the chat, so I'm just seeing it right now. Yeah. So we go to Wawa, and the girl who was like the checkout girl, we like became friends with her. And then one day, my boyfriend was like, "Guess what? She's on Yu-Gi-Oh!" And the checkout girl was like, "What?" She was like, "I love that show," and I was like, "You do? Like you watch it?" Because like I didn't know who watched it because like I didn't have any context, and there was like not really conventions like inviting voice actors or anything at that time. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool." She's like, "Me and my boyfriend love it, blah blah blah." And then like the next time I went in, she like gave me a necklace that she like handmade. It was like hot pink beads. It was so cute. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is like bigger than I think it is." Yeah, so that was also like a cool part of being on Yu-Gi-Oh.
So cool.
Really
Yeah.
cool.
Ooh,
I think I
somebody's
can.
in Central Jersey? Yes, hello.
Awesome.
Yay.
We have a question by Catchination. This is about you and a fellow Persona castmate you might have. So how was working on Bugsnax, and how often did you get to interact with Max Middleman during the production of it? Any funny stories you can
Ooh.
tell?
Yeah, so Bug Snacks was an exception where they had the majority of the cast record all together in a room. So there were like 12 of us, I want to say. And that was incredible because it was all these people that were just, at the top of their game, and then I admired so much, and now I'm like in a session with them and I get to watch them work. So that was cool. I mean, I knew Max, but we had never like worked directly in the studio together. So that was my first time, like, seeing him work and like seeing how he works. Because prior to that, I mean, I think I'd only like seen him at cons. Um, so that was cool. And then Bugsnax was just so funny, so well written. The dev team was like so passionate about it, and they were all there. Like they flew in for the session, and it was just awesome. So yeah, I loved being on Bugsnax. It's the coolest game. If you guys haven't played it, definitely play it. Bugsnax, it's so good.
Exciting game. So, Jake Bro wants to know, when you work on a project and find out who else is going to be a part of it, do you ever hear yourself hearing a character from another series when hearing their lines for the first time?
So it's funny, like I because I like my context of all, the voice actors that I work with is I meet them as a person first.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I'll meet them in the studio waiting room or, at a con or at a social event. So, whenever I hear a character, all I hear is the person that I met.
That's
So, yeah, sometimes it makes it hard to like watch or play things because I'm like naming everybody in it, and then sometimes somebody will come up with like a voice that I can't like hear them in it, and I'll be like, "Who is that?" And I will have to ask around. I'm like, "Who is this voice?" Like, I need to know. I'll be like IMDbing it. Yeah.
yeah. And then, sort of a really short follow up to that. If you know who plays who in a script beforehand, whether that's a follow up or you're returning for a project, and you see a certain character's lines, do you ever think those lines in their voices as you're reading it?
Oh, interesting. Um, See, I don't think of it as like in a voice. Like when I'm seeing a script,
Mm.
I guess it's hard to explain because it's all taking place in my head. But I don't really like assign a voice to the lines. I just kind of like use the other lines as context that will inform my performance.
See,
Yeah.
interesting to know. That's helpful for me as a person as well. So,
Oh,
anyway,
cool. As a human on Earth.
yeah. I'll, I'll refrain from too many comments since we have plenty of questions here as well, and I don't want
Me
to take up
too.
more time.
Okay.
Right now, I can read one right here. Planto wants to ask, what was the most memorable role of all the roles you've ever done, that you've ever played? What's the most memorable of all of them?
Oh my gosh. At this point, I mean, I love every role. There's something, I mean, okay, looking back on my life, Morgana is definitely going to be a huge part of it. Just because of like, getting to do stuff like this. Like being Morgana has like opened so many opportunities for me to like travel and meet people and go places. So, yeah, Morgana is definitely probably the most memorable. And
Oh,
yeah, Morgana for that reason, and then I guess Yubel in Yu-Gi-Oh, because that was kind of like the gateway to all this. Like, there would have been no Morgana without Yubel.
you
As
heard that?
funny as that
Shout to you,
sounds.
Belle.
Yeah,
Your character leads to the next.
yeah.
So, another question. This one might be something that I think you may be able to answer pretty emphatically. Have you ever had a problem where people have called you by a character's name and treated you like you are that character? And if so, how have you had to deal with that? By
I
Zal, by the
mean,
way.
Oh, okay. So when I played Cube and Madoka Magica, have you seen that? Have you seen that anime?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so people were like taking that really seriously. Like I was going to cons. I went to like a couple of cons then, and people like had like a visceral reaction to Cube, fine, but they also had like a reaction to like me, and I was like, "Yo, I'm just playing a character. Like I didn't really ruin these girls' lives. It's called acting. Like you guys need to like take it down a notch."
Well,
But
if you
I
you
oh
don't want
go
to be the
ahead.
one to tell them that anime isn't real.
Right, right. So then they gave me a panel idea. I was doing this panel called Cube, Good or Evil. And it was just like really to help people understand like Cube's perspective. Yeah, and then after that it honestly died down. Then like I think and as people had more discussions about it, they kind of understood that he wasn't like trying to be evil. He was just doing like what he thought was actually good, which ended up hurting a lot of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't need to get into that debate. But yeah, the Cube thing was weird. Since then, no, I haven't really had any issues with that.
Neat.
That's good to hear at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clea
Did it
wants to
so well
ask.
that people. Oh, sorry, Cody. I'm
Oh,
cutting
sorry.
you off.
Clea wants to
Go for
ask:
it.
is there any aspect that you incorporated into Morgana's character that yourself that wasn't explicitly scripted?
Oh, yes. What did I bring to the characters? That just that like spunkiness. I like I can't explain how I do it, but I really like infused like my own brand of like spunkiness and like sassiness into it. And I think that's what what kind of got me the job. Yeah.
Nice.
Neat.
Yeah.
So we're gonna move to another game now. Yoon Foxy asks, "How did you enjoy voicing Ringo Ando in the Puyo Puyo Tetris games? And is there any particular thing you liked about her as a character?"
That was such a cool game. I mean, it's just adorable. And the the studio cup of tea, they're so lovely to work with. So yeah, I mean, it was just like a great, enjoyable experience. And it's fun because it's like Tetris, so it's kind of like a throwback to like early video games. Just like the little shout out to like the another game that paved the way for like other games. Like that was cool.
It was a fun game.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, you've played the Persona 5 games. Mike the Mickles wants to ask, what was your favorite palace in Persona 5?
My gosh, to be honest, I've only played 8 hours of the first game.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah. I
That
mean,
limits things.
yeah, it does. So I guess the first one.
That's fair.
It's the one where you first meet him too.
Exactly. So that, makes sense. That would be the best for me.
Sky or Ski wants to know, what's it like playing two different characters in the same game? For example, Fee and Princess Alphen in Tales of Cold or Trails of Cold Steel.
Mm. So it's always an honor to be chosen to voice two like pretty prominent characters in a game because like to me that like as an actor they're trusting me to create two completely different characters that like might interact with each other. And also the extra technical thing with voice acting is they have to sound completely different. So first of all, it's kind of like a badge of honor for me. But then you have to deliver because
Yeah.
yeah. So for Fee, it was constantly making sure that I was speaking in my lower register with her. So technically, that was a little bit more difficult. But yeah, I mean, one time somebody sent me a tweet being like, "You voiced Fee and Alvin? I couldn't even tell," and that's like the biggest compliment. So yeah.
Cassandra, the studio gave you 2 roles?
Yeah, that's cool, you know?
Yeah. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Sophie wants to ask, if two of any of the characters you voice acted met, which would you want to meet and how do you think it would go?
Oh, who would I want to like put together? Oh, okay. Okay, I would want Taiga from Toradora to meet Cube from Madoka Magica, and I would want Taiga to like kick him like she kicks the light pole when she dents it.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah,
Just
I
punch
just
him.
think that'd be hilarious. Yeah, that would be so funny to me. Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun.
Oh my god, somebody just put artist. This is your prompt. You know what to do. That's so funny.
We better see some
OMG,
cool
I
fan
want to do
art.
it. Please make that. It's so funny.
We'll send it to her.
Absolutely will. Yumi
Yeah.
wants to know, do you enjoy getting to put on an accent when voice acting?
Oh, yeah. You know,
And I guess a follow-up to that, are there any points
the
where
chance
you
to
would,
do like,
yeah, chance
oh,
to
go
do
ahead.
accents? No, I was just asking if
Where I've
you
had
had
a
any.
chance.
Yeah.
So, I can't think. There's this one video game, I think it's called Shadowverse, where like I mean, I've done so many accents for that game, like French, British, Southern, um, what's it called? Mid-Atlantic. So yeah, it's just fun to like try to channel that energy and try to make a believable performance out of it. So yeah.
Of course. Of
Neat.
course.
I'm gonna bring it back to the Morgana super quick, and we had a few people ask this before. Since you were casted as a lovely cat, how did it feel being told that you were going to voice a animated cat?
wait, wait, what?
So it's basically the question is, what several people are asking is, how was it being a cat that you got cast for? How did you react to that?
Oh, I mean, it's funny. Obviously, I love cats because I currently have two. But I got cast as Morgana. I think like well, maybe not pretty soon after. But they had heard my Cube, and they were like, "We kind of want you to audition with like a similar voice to Cube for Morgana." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, am I getting typecast as like cat people or like cat
Uh-oh.
characters?" But then I was
Oh.
like, "Is that a problem? Like, I don't think it is. I'm kind of into it." So yeah, I love cats, so it's fine.
I dig it. Cats are great. Cats are
Yeah.
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah.
So, Kami wants to know, and you can speak as much or as little as you can about this. How was it voicing some characters for Smash reveal trailers, if you're allowed to talk about that? And did you know it was for Smash before you went into the booth?
I did not know it was for Smash before I went into the booth. They are so secretive. I mean, obviously for good reason. But yeah, there was a code name for the game. The code name changes every time, so like you really never know what you're going in for. Um, yeah, they just called and they were like, "We have a game. We have a game for you to come in record. Come in to record. It's called whatever. I don't even remember what it is, but it could be something like
Hmm.
Red 17." And I just came up with that because I'm like looking at something red. Um, but yeah, it's a code name that has nothing to do with anything. And I'm just like, okay, I'll come in. And then I came in and I'm like, what is this? And then they tell you, and you're like, oh my god.
And then you
So
get to play the NDA game.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, video games tend to be very secretive, which is cool. But yeah, it's always a
Also,
surprise when you walk into the room.
mhm. There's a few people asking about a certain type role you did. How was voicing Ritsu at K-On? How did you feel about that? What were your
Oh my
thoughts?
gosh, Ritsu was the first anime character I worked on when I moved from New York to LA. So that was cool, and like Oh, I thought somebody just came into this room. They didn't. So, like, I put a lot into that audition because I really loved the character, and I don't think I had worked for the studio before. So I was like really, really hoping that I would get in, like, for that reason, but also because I love music. I love, like, emo, pop punk, rock, alternative. So, like, the fact that, like, this was a girl band, I was like, oh, I really, really, really want to, like, be in this. And also, because Ritsu was a drummer, and I always wanted to play the drums when I was little, and I never got the chance to. So I was like, this is gonna be my opportunity to, like, be a drummer. And yeah, just everything about Ritsu and that whole experience was so fun. Also, like, all the original songs were so good. And then when we were promoting the show, um, the company sent us out to conventions to cosplay and perform as the K-On! Girls.
No way,
So
really?
yeah, so, like, yeah. And this was in maybe like 2011 or 2012. So, like, not everybody was, like, videoing everything yet. So there's like very little evidence of this on the internet, but I do have the DVD of it, and I always, like, threaten Stephanie Shea, like, I'm gonna post this someday. It's us,
That
like,
is a dangerous game
cosplaying.
you're playing.
I know, it's like semi blackmailing my friend. Um, yeah, it's us, but it's so cool. It's like we were like instant rock stars. So, like, they sent us to SakuraCon and Anime Expo, which are like, and Otakon, which are like the three, like, biggest conventions in the U.S. And they put us on stage with instruments. We were air playing our instruments and lip syncing the songs, but they were playing, the songs over the loudspeakers. And we were already playing for like 3,000 people who were just, like, rocking out and having, like, the best time of their life. And I was like, oh my God, this is what it feels like to be a rock star. Yeah, so, like, those moments were so fun. Like, there was one, I think Anime Expo, they had us on a stage, but then the stage also went out onto, like, a catwalk, like, into the middle of the crowd. And I just remember, like, I was like, I'm just gonna do it because, I'm, like, stuck behind the drums. But I, like, ran out when we were done, and I just, like, high fived, like, everybody really quick that was, like, on the catwalk, and they were like, ah! And I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm at the VMAs or something.
You're a real rock
Yeah.
star.
Yeah, it was so cool. I mean, I was wearing, like, the worst wig ever that I didn't even know how to wear, but it's fine, I still had my
Fine.
moment.
Rock stars have crazy hair some days. It's whatever.
You gotta live
Yeah.
your dream.
Yeah, so I guess I did get the full experience with the hair and all.
Awesome. That is so cool.
Yeah,
That is.
so yeah, Ritsu's awesome.
Right. So I think we have time for one more question from me and one from Hoodie, and then
Okay.
we'll let you have some closing thoughts. I have a question from PokeBros64 asking, who was the hardest character you had to prepare for?
Ooh, prepare for. Okay, so Lisa in Sword Art Online, when she finds out, you know, the real identity of Kirito, I don't know if I should.
Yeah.
Is it a spoiler alert at this point? It's been out for a long time.
Here is your official spoiler alert. We'll post in chat when it's safe to come back.
So she finds out the guy she falls in love with in a video game is actually her real life brother slash cousin. So
It's
obviously they can't be
complicated.
together. Yeah, they obviously can't be together. Um, so yeah, that scene was so emotional, and I really had to, like, bring myself down and, like, go to that place to deliver a really believable performance. So, like, preparing for that was a little intense, but we got it done. Yeah.
Wonderful. And looks like I can get the last question in here. Sweet Tooth 00 wants to ask, what was the whole experience from voicing Mona in the first P5 and then from at P5R with the new stuff?
Oh, jeez. I mean, it's changed so much because of the pandemic. I mean, I went from, like, auditioning in a studio, being in a studio, to recording in my closet for the pandemic.
What a relatable
So,
feeling.
Oh
yeah.
boy.
Yeah, so it's like I at first had all of this room just to like be in, and not that I move around that much at Morgana, but I would move my body a little bit, and that would help my performance. But then during the pandemic, because I was in my closet, I was in a very confined space, so it was like just a little technically or just like mentally different to like have all that energy in such a confined space. Yeah. So yeah, that's a very technical question or technical answer to the question. But
Definitely know about that movement of moving while voicing characters.
yeah. Oh, but also I will say this. So like when I first, recorded Morgana, the studio was like, Persona, this is a big series that has a big fan base. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I always expect nothing. So I was just like, all right, that's cool. And now, like knowing, like you guys are playing the games, I feel like, and the games like mean a lot to you guys, and you guys, invest a ton of time into playing them. Now, when I perform, I actually think about the audience, and I'm like, I hope they like this. Um, I feel like I'm trying to please them as well as the director. So
Oh.
yeah. So I honestly, it's like more. That's a huge change. Is like thinking about you guys, like while I'm recording now.
So cool.
You're so sweet.
Oh, it's true.
Well, it has been an hour. I want to thank you all for being here. Cassandra, for answering so many questions and being such a gracious guest. We're so thankful that you were able to make it to this Q&A today.
Oh
And
my gosh,
to
of
Some
course.
loving tap for Cassandra.
Oh, thank you guys for spending an hour with me. Like I know it's Saturday. You guys can be doing anything, and the fact that you guys came to listen to me, cool.
it's okay, I'm going to
Yeah.
take the
Thank
nerves after
you.
this and go on a really long run, so it works out great.
No. Aw. Well,
And
I
thanks.
honestly, it's an honor to be here. You guys are so lovely to chat with. I hope you guys have a great con, and I'm loving all these emotes that I'm seeing in the chat. Thank you all. You guys are the best.
Thank you all, everyone, as well, who submitted questions. If we weren't able to get to your question, I apologize. We will do our best to make sure we get as many questions out as we can for future Q&As as well. And again, there are plenty of panels coming up in the afternoon, as well as our second Q&A with Ms. Laura Post at 4. So stick around for things like that. Again, thank you all for showing up. Awesome Q&A.
Bye,
Anything you want
guys.
to plug in before you head off, Cassandra?
Oh, I hope you all have a lovely day. Um, my print shop is open. I already mentioned that. Um, yeah, say hi to me on Twitter. And if anybody creates that Taiga Cube fan art, you better send it to me because I want to see it.
Better. Awesome.
All right, I love you guys. Stay safe.
Stay
Thank you,
safe, stay cool,
Cassandra.
stay awesome.
Yeah. Bye, y'all.